Good evening. Welcome to Newsnight. My name is Kenneth Gyasi. Here are stories making headlines tonight. Crisis lingers in the health sector as the nurse educators group announced intention to withdraw their services from the various health training institutions across the country. Meanwhile, health interns are also demanding the payment of their 10-month allowances. Coastal Development Authority struggles to live up to its mandate as it lacks funds and community support to undertake projects. Chairman of Parliament's Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee disagrees with Supreme Court's decision to outlaw the issuance of licenses for the cultivation of cannabis for medical purposes. And later on the international front, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres calls on the world to help Russia export the country's food and fertilizer. Details are coming up shortly. Stay with us. Grateful to have you join us this evening. Now, Nurse Educators Group Ghana have threatened to strike. Let's now turn to our video wall and show you what services will be affected if this strike comes into effect. So, care, study, and project work supervision, conduct of mid-semester examination and quizzes, conduct of practical assessment, submission and moderation of questions, supervision of students at clinical sites, conduct of end-of-semester examination. For the avoidance of doubt, all our services except teaching are hereby withdrawn effective 18th August 2022 till 1st September 2022. Let's now go on to Zoom and speak to Maximus, who is the National PRO for the Nurse Educators Group. Good evening. Welcome to the program. How are your demands not being met, and can you outline what really your demands are? Hello, Maximus. Can you hear me? Can you kindly unmute your microphone? Yes. Right. Okay. Go ahead.
Good evening to you. Good evening to our cherished listeners, especially national executives and council members of Nurse Educators Group, and to the entire nurse through midwife educators. Master Gyasi, permit me to say this before commenting on the main issue. We lost an energetic and young member of ours this morning through an accident. He was a tutor at the Kolibu Nursing and Midwifery Training College. Therefore, on behalf of the national executives, council members, and the entire membership of Nurse Educators Group, I want to humbly share our heartfelt condolences to the entire family and to the Greater Accra Regional Executives, as well as the principal, tutorial staff, and non-tutorial staff, and the entire student body of Kolibu Nursing and Midwifery Training College. And may this, our brother, soul, and others, gone soul rest in perfect peace. Thank you for the permission. I think a Nurse Educators Group, as you have already known, is a specialized group under our mother association, which is the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwife Association. And this one was formed in the year 1978. And we have been training nurses and midwives for this nation. And we have some, as part of our job entitlement, we have some allowances that we're supposed to enjoy. And these allowances include script marking, case study, research supervision, practical assessments, labor ward assessments, invigilation, field and clinical supervision, health talk by our dear brothers and sisters in the community health nursing training colleges, and research and book allowances. And this one was negotiated and agreed at the last negotiation that our Mother Association did. But from last year up to now, we have not heard anything about it. Then we have some related matters that we also ask the ministry to look at, which is the review of the 30% reservation of approved admission quotas, scrapping of the 34% gross of the interview proceeds to be paid to the ministry. And currently we are proposing that they should allow the nurses, the various health training institutions to sell their admission form.
Hello, Maximus.
In order to generate internal funds to support me. Hello.
Right. You did indicate that you are under the Registered Nurses and Midwives Association of Ghana. Is that association backing the strike?
Please, I can't hear you. Well, I can't hear your question.
You did indicate that you are under the Nurses and Midwives Association of Ghana, and I'm asking if your association is backing the strike.
Yes, we are really under the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association as our mother association. They have done well. When they had the issue, they wrote a letter to the ministry to engage us and even calling us an emergency situation. And they duly did that last Friday by writing to the Minister of Health if they can engage the parties. So I think within this week, we had a feedback that through our Mother Association president, that the slated meeting or engagement would take place on Tuesday, that is 23rd August 2022.
Okay, so what happens after your deadline? What happens? What's the next line of action?
So when we started the process on the 11th of August. Then that one was the wearing of the red armbands. And we started on 11th, ended on 17th. And within this period, we didn't hear any positive results from government about engagement, except our Mother Association that wrote to them, even requesting them to meet us because it is a matter of urgency. It is a matter of emergency. But if the students will be left alone, if we finally brought down our tools, that is finally we go on strike. So when it happens and we didn't hear any, we went to the second phase. And the second phase of this was the withdrawal of services. And as the notice indicated, for the avoidance of doubt, all our services except teaching are hereby withdrawn. And that was from Thursday till now. And we'll still continue on Monday with this withdrawal of services. The only thing that the tutor would do is to go to class and teach, but whatever services apart from teaching that the tutor is supposed to render to help this student, nurse or midwife to complete, the tutor will not engage in those activities. Right. So that is the stage we are in.
Okay, so if you engage your employers, that is government, and government says, look, we're going to heed to your demands, go back to the services you are rendering to the public, will you do that even if the monies have not come yet?
Mr. Gyasi, I find it difficult to hear your question, please.
Yes,
if you can make it loud for me.
Right, I am asking if your employer says go back to rendering those services to the public, they are going to heed to your demands. Are you willing to do that?
Yes, when we go there on Tuesday, and then whatever outcome, we'll communicate to National Council members on it. And if it is positive and the government or the Minister of Health agree to our proposed revision, then it is necessary that we should also go there with good faith. So we'll come back and engage our National Council members, engage our members, and also tell them what the government is having for us. If we are happy about it, then we may suspend our services. But an individual or the national executives cannot take decision on their own.
Right. Maximus Dibri, thank you very much for speaking to us tonight. He's the national PRO for the Nurse Educators Group, telling us about their intended strike. You're still watching Newsnight here on Metro Television. You can join us on Facebook with your thoughts as well on Metro TV Ghana. Now we have another person joining us via Zoom, and the health interns are also calling on government to pay their allowance. A member of the coalition, Adenyira Benoni, joins me on phone for more on this. Adenyira, good evening. Thank you very much for joining me via Zoom. I believe you can hear me. Hello, Adenyira, can you hear me? Can you kindly unmute your microphone so we can hear you?
Okay, I can hear you.
Right. So how many months are you owed by government?
First of all, thank you for this opportunity. And I will also thank my colleagues that we are also pushing this agenda and the whole entire health faculty. Please, almost 11 months now, we have not been paid our allowances. So we started last year on the 1st of October. We had our appointment letter on the 1st of October, and we started our internship. So we are in our 11th month now, and nothing from the government has been given to us as our allowance, sir.
Right. And you've indicated that it's been 10 months. How are you guys surviving? When you talk to your colleagues, how are they surviving? How are they keeping up?
Thank you for this question. To be honest with you, life has been very, very difficult for us. For instance, you just imagine somebody from Tamale being posted to the south, maybe the eastern region or the Accra, sorry. And this person has come from that place. Look at the distance. I've come to Accra to, put his service into what I would say the appointment that he has been given to, and you can see the stress. Even life has been difficult because we are not being able to even pay our bills. Talking about electricity, talking about water bill, talking even about the rent, to the extent that even some of our landlords are chasing us from their houses, and even threatening us that they will report us to the rent control and the police. Due to this, it has gone to the extent that even some of our colleagues must call us to contribute something a little bit, and some are also taking loans just like that, and it has made life really, really difficult for us.
So what's the next line of action for you?
Well, the next line is we are still begging the government to do something about it with immediate effect. We are just begging him because where it has reached and what we are going through is beyond imagination. So we are still appealing to the government and to the various institutions that are responsible for our allowance. That is the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Health, and Allied Health Profession Council, because that is where we belong to. They gave the National Service Secretariat the go-ahead to post us. So we are begging all these various institutions to do something about our allowance. Yes, please.
Have you officially written to government to heed to these concerns?
Yes, please. We have written several petitions to the government. We have written petition to the Ministry of Health. We have written petition to the Ministry of Finance and Allied Health Profession Council to do something about it. But when we wrote it, we haven't heard anything from the government, please.
Okay, thank you very much for speaking to us this evening. Adenyina Benoni, he is part of the health interns who are calling on government to pay them their 10-month allowances. This is still Newsnight here on Metro Television. Now, social media, it can be a boon or bane. A recent viral video of a student nurse threatening to kill her patients has landed her in trouble. It is in this light that health professionals, especially students and young nurses, have been charged to be circumspect in the contents they post online.
Last week, a TikTok video of a student nurse admitting her disinterest in the nursing profession went viral and featured on the news. Unfortunately, this student nurse is not the only one with such videos which has projected the nursing profession in a bad light.
So, nursing training
Even though the Nurses and Midwifery Council has issued a statement to distance itself from certain utterances, more of such videos that project the nursing profession in a bad light emerge almost on a daily basis. It is for this reason that the Executive Director of the African Center for Health Policy Research and Analysis, Dr. Thomas Anaba, has called on the Nurses and Midwifery Council to intensify education on the Code of Conduct for nurses. He believes this will serve as a guideline for health professionals, especially in the social media space.
The only thing we need to do is to really look at how people are to understand the code of conduct of their various health institutions. If you are admitted into a school and you are not taken through this counseling and guidance procedures to let you understand how your behavior can impact the profession, you may be misbehaving and would not really know you are misbehaving.
He also charged the Nurses and Midwifery Council to crack the whip on nurses found guilty of breaking the professional code.
I think the onus lies on the Nursing and Midwifery Council as well as the colleges, the governing bodies or council of the colleges of nursing education to step up their role as fishing out malpractice and deter others. And I will call on at least graduated nurses to put up a behavior that the young ones in school would emulate.
The National Nurses and Midwifery Association is currently on a hunt for the student nurse in the viral video and promises to get to the root of the matter.
We'll still stay on health as some medicine counter assistants say the conditions under which they work are unfavorable. They lament their salaries are not commiserate with the workload and called on their employers to improve their working conditions.
A medical counter assistant is a person who assists a licensed pharmacist to dispense drugs to customers as well as render medical advice on known conditions. At its annual general meeting, National President of the Association of Medical Counter Assistants Ghana, Ruben Abbey, said the members are faced with some challenges. Key among them is the undignified salaries given to them by the employers despite being overstretched with long hours of work.
We are pleading to our employers. We have a problem which they need to help us with. We are having meetings, but most of our employers don't allow our members to come for the meetings. When there's workshop, they don't allow them to come. When there's AGM, they don't allow them to come. And all these things, we help our members to update themselves with medications that are coming into the system. So when they don't allow them to come, it means what they know is what they are going to use. So when there are other medications, it becomes a problem.
The Eastern Regional President of the association also demanded recognition of the group by stakeholders.
What we teach each and every one in Eastern Region, especially, that you always come to meeting every second Sunday of every month to Eastern Region. So we are teaching that you come and learn more. And you'll be more abreast with the products that are coming up. You will learn the things through the leaflets in the drugs. So please, we beg you, try and do your best so that the name of MCA will go far. We are teaching each and every one, whether MCA or whoever that you are, try to carry this name MCA around so that you know that, or the whole world will know that you are professional.
He advised medicine counter assistants to upgrade and make good use of the internet by conducting research that will benefit the profession.
Let's bring in more stories tonight as the Coastal Development Authority says it is struggling to undertake projects due to delay in the release of funds by the Finance Ministry. As a solution, the authority is asking government to create a statutory fund that will allow the authority access funds allocated them at any given time.
Coastal Development Authority was established to help accelerate economic and social development within 6 coastal regions of the country. Currently, the authority is struggling to undertake projects, partly due to difficulty in securing funds. Mona Gertrude Efa is Deputy CEO in charge of corporate communications and compliance.
What happens is the communities may give you whatever they need, but it's not as easy as it seems. You need land to put up a project. You move into a community. The chief has given you land. Now, a family comes to say that this is my land. I'm not giving it out. And then there's this protracted dispute between the chiefs and the people and all that. It delays the whole process. At the end of the day, you might not even get the land to site the project. But the community needs the project. It derails our efforts to ensure that we get development to the people.
She also called on government to establish a statutory fund for the authority.
As an authority, most of our monies come from central government, yes. Central government gives us our money. But as we sit here, when we get our monies, let's say we are given 1 million cedis this year to construct various projects. By the end of the year, if we are not able to claim all that money from central government, the money goes back. Now it goes back to central government. It's not as if it's lying down there waiting for us. The next year, it is we are given another budget of 1 million, but that is going to cover the liabilities that we had in the previous year. They are not going to say that the previous year you didn't finish your project, so that 1 million cedis is lying down for those projects. No, it's gone. The next year's budget, you are going to use it to offset that budget. So it's a drawback for us. Because when you going through the procurement process, it's not as easy as it looks. There are certain legal requirements. You have to fulfill all these legal requirements. By the time you finish with that, time is already gone. A year is almost gone. You understand? By that time, your money is also gone. So we are facing a huge challenge with this. We are working out to see if we can be given statutory funding. That comes in when you are given the monies. The money is lying down there for 10 years. It's still there for you. So if your process is delayed for 10 years, the money is lying down there waiting for you, and then you won't have a problem.
Now, still to come in this bulletin, Chairman of Parliament's Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee disagrees with the Supreme Court hearing. That's what's coming up after the break.
To me, if it is not for smoking or actually directed at men, women, and youth, which would not bring these mental problems and whatnot.
Welcome back. Now, Chairman of Parliament's Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee has described as unfair the Supreme Court's ruling to strike out the law granting license to grow cannabis in the country. According to Kwame Anyimado Entry, he's surprised that the court had questioned Parliament's failure to debate Section 43 of the Narcotic Control Commission Bill 2020 as basis for striking out the law on license to grow cannabis. He says things have to change to allow institutions cultivate cannabis for industrial and medicinal purposes, a move he believes will generate revenue for the country.
The Apex Court, in a 4-3 majority decision Wednesday, declared as unconstitutional a section of the Narcotics Control Commission Act, which permits licenses to be issued to institutions to allow them cultivate small amounts of cannabis in Ghana for industrial and medicinal purposes. It again held the view that Parliament was not transparent in its passage of the law on licensing the growing of cannabis, and that the explanatory memorandum attached to the bill placed before Parliament did not set out detail the policy change, the defect in the existing law, and the necessity to introduce a law to license the cultivation of cannabis. Such an omission, the court held, was a violation of the Constitution. It therefore concluded that Section 43 of the Narcotics Control Act 2020 Act 1019 was unconstitutional. But Chairman of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament, Kwame Enyimedu Intri, said the ruling was unfair.
To say that a particular clause, is not covered by a memorandum, and to that extent, that clause is actually unconstitutional. To me, I don't think that is fair to us. Normally, the court would not interfere with the legislature, and the legislature would also not interfere with the judiciary. And I think they have the power to interpret the law. So we would actually look at what the Supreme Court has said, and then with the critical mind, and if we are wrong, we will review our notes. But I think if they are also wrong, there is a way to correct it. Because I think that narcotics per se is not a good thing. The law that we're talking about is about narcotics, and Ghana belongs to an international bodies on this. So the question is that other countries are doing it. So where have we gone wrong?
He added Ghana must begin to consider legalizing cannabis for medicinal purposes.
The judgment has to do with the spirit within the country. Do we have to support this? And I think that the mental health and whatnot, most of the people within the mental health having mental health problems, most of them, the basis of the cause has to do with cannabis. But I would want to differ here, because that is not the type of cannabis that we are talking about. To say that psycho substance or psychophatic, they have a technical term. If it is 0.3% or less, that one is allowed to be used for medicinal purposes. I think it's something worth looking at, and looking at it for when, for how long, when are we going to allow something that will benefit the country? Because to me, if it is not for smoking or actually directed at men, women, and youth, which would not bring these mental problems and whatnot, but it is something that would actually give us money. There's a factory, we are producing this, or we can even export for us to actually get some foreign exchange for the nation. I think it is something that we need to look at.
Meanwhile, the debate as to whether to legalize the cultivation of cannabis for medicinal purposes or not continues.
Now, the Ghana Institute of Journalism is calling for an amendment of the Local Government Act 1993, Act 46271, which prevents candidates seeking election to a lower local government unit from using a symbol associated with a political party. According to the Department of Research of the Institute, the act is being breached and there's a need to amend it.
52.8% of aspirant posters in the 2015 District Assembly elections in Accra depicted colors of the two biggest political parties, NPP and NDC, a testament that MMDA elections are largely partisan, which is contrary to Act 4627. Among other things, the study revealed that candidates for the assembly member position use image-text interactions on posters to negotiate group identity through political association with notable political parties.
I'm able to prove from the posters that it is partisan. Now, further studies could also use other strategies like interviews. You go to the communities and then you interview them. They will tell you that, oh, me, I vote because I'm an NDC, I vote because I'm an MPP. Or you do a survey to also prove the same thing.
The research also recommended campaign messages of candidates in the form of posters be designed in black and white to prevent any manipulations of the process.
Such forms of research, the benefits cannot be overemphasized. For politicians in particular, this sort of research is very helpful, especially when it comes to political communication, when it comes to persuasion, which lies at the heart of the practice of politics.
The research is aimed at promoting local participation in the decision-making process.
Now, the CEO of the Minerals Commission, Martin Gyasi, says his outfit will not compromise on their quest to protect Ghana's water bodies from illegal miners. According to him, assertions that the Commission has approved the mining of minerals on some river bodies in the country are untrue.
What we are telling the general public and the small-scale miners is that stop the illegal thing, come forward, let's get you a place, we'll get you the machine, you can work, and then there will be peace. But for the water body, don't come to Minerals Commission and say, we shall allow you to go and work in the Prow or Fin River. That one will not compromise. Okay, you drank water this morning. Okay, even if it's bottled water, where is it coming from? Do you want us to import bottled water? No, it's a Prow or Fin and then Anko Branco that have been damned, that water company. We are all crying. They've increased utilities, you are crying. Why? Cost of production has gone up. So pass on the information, help us, and then together we can save Mother Ghana and stop this menace in this water body thing. That one will not compromise. So our job is to help them do it responsibly, and we are on course. We are doing that. Okay, yes. Government that gave them the machine. Government that brought the machine. Got hard taxpayers' money. Okay, they said no. Let's go and buy the machine and give it to them. Why? If you don't do that, the Chinese will fill the vacuum. Okay, so it's also a way of getting rid of the Chinese. And then, of course, our commitment to the Minamata Convention, which is eliminate the use of mercury. So I think we should be grateful to the government for coming out with this thing. Yes, but the water body, no way. Yes, so concurrent reclamation, that's the only way. And of course, areas that have been devastated that maybe they've taken off, we have to do the reclamation. So there's a program, there's a national reclamation program to rehabilitate most of these areas. Yes, and that is what it has come to as a nation when we do these things to ourselves. That money could have gone somewhere else, okay, to provide some social amenity or infrastructure to some community, or even the very community that has been devastated. So it's a collective effort, collective fight.
In other news tonight, government spokesperson on governance and security, Pargrave Boachetankwa, says although President Akufo-Addo has revoked the appointment of Adwoa as a Minister of State, only the people of Domi Kwabenya can vote her out as a Member of Parliament.
Okay. She represents her constituency, for which reason the Constitution and the framers of the Constitution mandates that you pick 2/3 of your ministers from Parliament. And so she was appointed as the Minister for Gender and Social Protection over the period for the second term of our government. And she served well, clearly. I think that the entire government had been extremely lenient and also extremely caring. Adwoa says that, obviously, if you are a minister, you also have overriding responsibility for your constituents.
Right.
And every single minister who is appointed in our government, who is also a member of parliament, performs their duties.
Okay.
So if the president has revoked your role and you have accepted it and thanked him for his benevolence to be able to serve in the government, and you have also stated that you are continually remaining in the party, going to serve your constituents, it's all well and good.
Okay.
Because we cannot say that we would deny her of her right. The constituents would have to decide in another election and primaries if they don't want Adwoa to be their representative.
Now, meanwhile, communications team member of the NDC, Beatrice Annan, says The acceptance letter of the embattled minister to the president about her revocation was sarcastically written.
They took her out from the executive position. They've come to parliament. She was good for the e-levy, but when she will not succumb to the whims of caprices of this government, she has to go out. And I've heard the MPP side in parliament say that they want to take Gyasi out and she has to lose her seat. I think that she deserves the Audi Alterum Partum. She deserves to be given a hearing. I would treat her response to the president as sarcasm. I think she was being sarcastic. I think she was telling the president that you may have made a decision. I don't give a hoot about it. Because for more than a year, she was not at post. What new things? What new things? So apart from the largesse she got off the record from government. But I believe strongly that the government is afraid of Gyasi. Remember, she was a minister of procurement. And this is a government that has run a procurement economy than anybody. We have an example of the Sputnik V. We have the example of ABAJ making almost 11 million cedis in the space of 1 year being at the procurement office. So if the procurement board can make that, you can imagine what other government officials have made. With her as a minister, she has a lot. And so they are careful and they are treating her like an egg, because if she decides to speak, this is the end of the government. It possibly can be the end of this government. And that's why they are. So I'm sure her response to the government is just to say that, you know what, maybe you can drink some water. I am not coming to speak anytime soon. But we hope that, like Mr. Ejakun, when the time is right and the dust settles, she certainly should speak.
Away from that story, Second Lady Samira Bawumia has attributed the high enrollment of girls in basic and second cycle institutions to the free SHS program. She believes the program has immensely improved the female literacy rate in the country. Samira Bawumia was speaking in an interview with Metro TV on the sidelines of the 11th national competition for the UCMAS, an arithmetic competition organized for basic school pupils by the Moria Education Limited. She said the introduction of the free senior high school policy has led to many young girls getting an opportunity to have secondary education, which is a great improvement in the education sector, unlike days of old where many girls had the education aborted at the basic level. She said the literacy rate of the country is sharply increasing due to the policy. This year's competition saw many girls winning the Champion of Champions, the ultimate title in the levels of the competition, igniting the happiness of the Second Lady, who praised the organizers of the competition. Over 2,000 students from all the 16 regions of the country were assembled in Kaswa in the central region to take part in this year's competition. Samira Bawumia said such interventions complement government's contribution to the education sector.
Girls are Omenia prizes the Emedepa, essentially Ghana, a bombarding power with girl child education from all levels, especially primary level. And Macra and also say Memano. Naya a Koshra and a Suti. Now, yet if we SHS buy and so, I'm managed to make ahead more. Into a bonfire say at the tertiary level, so a bay increases because my chance it's me.
Impressed with the performance of participants of the competition, Sumpahema for Swami in the Ashanti region, Irene Chaymen-Sabunsu, is advocating for the GES to adapt the module and endure the inclusion of public schools.
I will advocate for the GES to look into that. Most of the time it's the private schools that you see. So, and there's something about it. If the thing is good, why not? Yes, so I'll entreat the Ministry of Education to look into this. It's helpful.
Meanwhile, Business Development Director of the Moria Education Limited, Roger Ohimin, applauded government for the introduction of the science, technology, engineering and mathematics education. He believes it will help improve mathematics education in the country.
Currently, as I speak to you, the government is also trying to open one of the biggest STEM centers at Shashi East Legon area. And we are hopeful to have that partnership. We at Moria Education want to contribute our quota in helping develop the Ghanaian child. Our vision is the Ghanaian child, how we can help them so that at any stage, a Ghanaian child should be able to perform and perform very well.
And President Akufo-Addo has commended outgoing French Ambassador Anne-Sophie Ave for boosting diplomatic ties between her country and Ghana through unconventional means. Anne-Sophie Ave has won the heart of many Ghanaians and leaves behind an unmatched legacy.
Anne-Sophie Ave, or better known as Akosia, is not your usual ambassador. She has defied the status quo of diplomacy. Her free spirit and character has endeared her to many Ghanaians.
I just want to say, my hair, you pay for my hair. I know fit to reset, I know fit to connect.
As the first ambassador to host a TV show, A Touch of France, she managed to draw more interest to her country and project the deeds of her government in Ghana. As a result of her achievements, she has been enskinned the development queen mother in 3 communities in Ghana. As the saying goes, behind every young child who believes in himself is a parent who believed first.
I'm here in the home of Her Excellency Anne-Sophie Ave's parents and here in Paris, and just to interact with them, to find out what they make of their daughter and to see how proud they are of her. So come with me.
Alain and Marie-France Olivier raised their 3 daughters here. Anne-Sophie Ave is their first child.
I think she does her job well and with a spirit of social purposes and human purposes. That's very rewarding for parents, and our 3 daughters are like that.
The parents say their daughters' achievements make them fulfilled. Anne-Sophie Ave has ended her tour of duty in Ghana. After 4 years, she heads to Paris to become the ambassador for public diplomacy in Africa. The diplomat called on President Akufo-Addo to officially serve notice of her departure.
I've had the 4 best years of my life thanks to the people of Ghana, who have been absolutely extraordinary, grateful, kind, and of course, as I said, I will come back. However, I'm also leaving behind a fund to support the communities that have made me the honor of installing me or inskinning me a Queen Mother.
We're particularly excited by the promotion of Ghanaian culture that has been one of your biggest undertakings, and showcasing our food, our musical and artistic community in France, and making sure that the intercourse between our 2 countries at the cultural level.
She may be leaving Ghana, but not for good, as her charity outfit, the Akosia Foundation, will continue to transform lives and communities.
Anne-Sophie Ave will be dearly missed. Business News is next. In business tonight, the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana has called on the government of Ghana and the Food and Drugs Authority to, as a matter of urgency, come to the aid of Ghanaian wheat flour producers. It wants government to ban the influx of smuggled wheat flour from Côte d'Ivoire to save the local flour milling companies.
We want government to understand that there is a challenge here with the flour mills. And so because of the flour mills challenge, we are saying that the government should at least see to it that there's a total ban on this influx of flour into the country. Because this flour mills in Ghana import the wheat, pay duties, tariff, clear to their factories, produce with this high utility tariff. I think this week they have increased electricity and water as well, remember. So it becoming a high cost of production. And so their price with the product come from Ivory Coast. That's what we've identified. And many of these influences come from Ivory Coast. The Ivorian government, because of this crisis, the Ivorian government of food crisis, global crisis, The Ivorian government have given tax exemption to their millers, has given certain tax. They have absorbed some of the taxes, and they've asked the millers, the Ivorian millers, to produce the wheat flour at a cheaper price and at a cheaper cost for their national. They made it clear to the Ivorian millers that if you produce the flour, because you have absorbed your tax and other things, we are giving tax exemption, you are not supposed to export it. It's not supposed to leave the source of Ivorian. It's supposed to be consumed. So that means they are getting food security for their staff, for their citizens. But it found its way to Ghana. So our flour millers, with these huge taxes they are paying and huge utility tariff, get to the market. And the major market in Ghana is Accra and Asante region. So when they get to Asante region, you have this influx of French going. The inscriptions are done into French. They are done into French. So and then it's cheaper. So it is eating into the market share of.
The leadership of SNIT have indicated they will this year roll out a comprehensive campaign to register self-employed persons and informal sector workers onto the scheme. Director General of SNIT, Dr. John Ofori-Tinkran, said the campaign will also seek to improve transparency and accountability.
The regional sensitizing exercise by the Social Security and National Insurance Trust (SNIT) is aimed at educating leaders of the Trade Union Congress about the scheme and its operations. Addressing participants, the Director General of SNIT, Dr. John Ofori-Tinkran, said such engagements help to address concerns of members, clarify misconceptions about the operations of the trust, improve transparency and accountability, and enhance stakeholder buy-in.
I remember the first time we did this program, the kind of questions that we were getting. In fact, the program came about on the back of a lot of the citizens that people were giving to SNIT on how meager their pensions are. And a lot of them thought that the SNIT scheme was sort of a gratuity or ex gratia to speak. That after working for so many years, people should get more than what they are getting.
Dr. Ofori-Tinkran said that SNIT will this year roll out a comprehensive campaign to register self-employed persons and informal sector workers onto the scheme. On his part, Deputy Secretary General of the TUC, Joshua Ansah, entreated participants to take full advantage of the engagement to become better equipped to educate the workers they represent. In his opening remarks, the Tamale Regional Chairman of TUC, Joseph Kondateri, commended the trust for continuously engaging workers and leadership of the TUC.
I think don't live here. I think we have invited a lot of our constituents coming from all the districts to be part of this program. And this will actually give them the benefits or chance to make sure that they will also carry out the message of SNIT to the various locality, and then they make sure that people are encouraged to get registered with the Ghana Card. Subsequently,
when we return from the break, we'll bring you the latest in the world of sports. Stay tuned. Now let's see some results of the English Premiership match day 3. And Tottenham Hotspurs beat Wolverhampton Wanderers by 1-0. Everton and Nottingham Forest played a 1-1 draw. Leicester City lost at home to Southampton by 1-2. Fulham won against Brentford by 3-2. Crystal Palace also beat Aston Villa by 3-1. And the match we showed you was Bournemouth losing against Arsenal at home by 3-0. These are the matches that are going to be played tomorrow. West Ham United will take on Brighton and Hove Albion. Leeds United will also play Chelsea. Newcastle United will play Man City. And Manchester United, who just signed Casemiro, play Liverpool tomorrow. Hopefully they win. Day. That is a cracker of a match to expect. International news is next. Angolans are going to the polls for the 5th time in their history on August 24th. More than 14 million voters are registered for Wednesday's general elections. The Republic of Angola has a presidential parliamentary system of government, which means the president of the republic is elected according to the model of the parliamentary system, but with the powers of a presidential system. The election not only brings a new president, but voters also choose their representatives in the National Assembly and local deputies. Mali's transitional government has reacted on Friday to the withdrawal of France's last soldiers in the country on August 15th. The Barkhane force had been operating in the country for the last 9 years in order to help the local army counter terrorist groups. But relations between Bamako and Paris have constantly deteriorated since the 2 military coups in August 2020 and May 2021. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called on the world to help Russia export the country's food and fertilizer. Meanwhile, a drone has been shot down over the headquarters of Russia's Black Sea Fleet in annexed Crimea, the second such attempted attack in less than a month. My name is Kenneth Gyasi. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.